Thank you very much, dear audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the invitation to be here at this great event here in Seoul. I'm really happy to speak to you as I like Korea. It's the 5th time that I am here in Korea now, and I like the people, I like the food, I like the country. And so I like to share with you some thoughts about AI and sustainability, driving the transformation, driving the innovation in Europe and probably here in Korea as well. So just a short introduction to Wageningen University Research, where I am working. It is not the biggest university in the world. It's about half the size of Seoul National University, but we are very much internationally oriented with students from more than 100 countries, and I think we're quite well known in the world. That's where I'm working. So what is driving the future? We could add many, many factors, but I put 7 factors here, a selection. It is animal welfare. It is popping up here in Korea. It has become quite familiar in Europe, in the Netherlands. Sustainability. Definitely everyone is speaking about sustainability, carbon footprint, etc. What about risk control? Because we see now the situation in the world. It is the political situation is really changing very quickly. Every time again it's new. What is the new political situation? So there's risks. A risk not only for the currency, a risk for border closures, risk for animal diseases. So there are a lot of risks. How to deal with that? And then I go to the right side, the profitability. Every industry, every farm, every company needs to make profit. It's the basis for the company to survive, let's say. But now we see also labor shortage. It's not only here. It's also in actually the rest of the world. In Europe, we have labor shortage. We have foreign workers, and their payment is increasing. Food security. You here in Korea are an importing nation. You need to import quite a lot of food, agricultural products, so you're dependent to the world market. And then the AI, the big data technology, or smart, or whatever term we are going to use, it's popping up, and we should make use of it. And the question is, will this solve all the issues that we have? And under what circumstances can it support solving it? Now, a little bit of European and Korean history, just briefly. We had the Second World War, 1940 till 45. After that time, it was said, we don't want to have any more hunger in Europe. So a lot of focus was given to no more hunger, a leap in agricultural productivity, doubling the performance of animals at a lower cost, using less feed and other inputs, etc. Yes, there was a lot of subsidies at that time. But then in 1972, there was a report in the Club of Rome saying, well, this is really dangerous what we are doing because we are destroying the earth. This is no longer possible. So we should take care of our environment. And since then, a lot of societal concerns have come up. Farms are industrialized, meanwhile being family farms. So it's a family-owned structure that is the typical structure in Europe. The European Union popped up, so we have 450 million consumers of our products. We can easily exchange the products throughout the Union. We are the second exporter, especially the Netherlands is the second exporter of agri and food products worldwide after the US. But with increasing wealth, increasing income, there came a lot of societal concerns. And I think we are trying to cover them, we are trying to tackle them quite well. And then we go to Korea. After your Korean War, 1950 till 53, you also had a really large gap to fill, the economic gap. You were a very poor country at that time, and now you are a miracle, economic miracle. And you were focusing on technology development, and not on the agriculture, not on food in the first place. And that's the difference with Europe, European Union. You're a global leader in technology development. My telephone is a Samsung, just to show it. And, but in agriculture, in food, you are underperforming and heavily subsidized. So the government is giving quite some money to the farmers in order to sustain the countryside and to have sufficient domestic food production. Yet, it's not as you wish to have it. And maybe That's a stumble stone, that the government should not give that much subsidies and rather challenge the farmers to be more like an industry. We also see here in Korea aging farmers, high food safety standards and upcoming standards in animal welfare and sustainability. Now, to give a brief overview of the history of societal concerns in Europe, especially focusing on the Netherlands, we see from the 50s till now, food security, it started with resulting in a far better efficiency and cost reduction. And then came in the 80s the environmental protection, worries, and then animal welfare, animal health, and it really helped. 1997 we had a severe outbreak of classical swine fever, just to mention a name, and since then we didn't have it anymore. Then a lot of attention to antibiotics, so food safety, but also antimicrobial resistance. Again, animal welfare. Well, you see there is the orange blocks and the blue blocks, and you see the more we come down, it is more a blue blocks. So the industry is leading rather than the government. It's taking its responsibility and saying, okay, this is the way how we should lead. Less a role for the government, and that's maybe an interesting lesson. Now we see that livestock is under pressure from climate change, aging farmers, and labor shortages and the demand for sustainability. What can we do? Is AI, smart farming, etc., is that an option? Is that the solution? We need continuous innovation. Now, what is innovation? Innovation is not just a continuous story alone. It goes in waves. It goes in steps. As you can see in the graph, just with an example that I found, starting with paper and pencil, and then the mainframe. As I studied, we were using a mainframe that was a central computer with everyone having just a screen and a keyboard. And then the personal computers popped up, and then we had Excel and Lotus, etc. So you see it goes in waves. And that's also happening in agriculture and in all industries that we know. In agriculture, there were techniques to reduce emission of ammonia, for example, of a particular matter. Then came a lot of attention to management, and maybe that's a lesson for you. You need more attention to management, to the awareness of farmers, of industry. What are we doing? How should we solve it? Don't forget this part, the management. The technology was the next step. And then the fourth step, so to say, was the AI, the robots, the big data, etc. That's the smart farming. It's just the next step in the innovation. And it gives a lot of opportunities, which can only be met under certain conditions. And we have to, I found a quote, if you don't, your competitors will. They will improve, they will innovate, so we have to. Now, where can we find smart farming? We speak about livestock industry. And livestock industry can make use of smart farming in 3 areas. The first is what we call livestock precision farming. The second is in labor saving, and the third is in supply chain guarantees. Livestock precision farming means, let me give an example. If you're a teacher in the class and you say the average grade of all my students is good enough, would you be happy then? No, you would like to focus on individual students and say, okay, there's a student that needs extra support. Another student, okay, he would do or she would do, it's okay. So you are focusing on individual students. And that's the same case in livestock. We need more focus on individual animals rather than on a farm average or a day average or a country average or whatsoever. So that's livestock precision farming. And there's a huge gap. I will show that in the next slide. There's a huge gap between what is potentially, what can potentially be reached and what is realized in practice. There's a huge gap. And yes, also for you, there's a lot to win. And the second is about labor shortage, labor saving. Yes, we can make use of robotization, etc. But not only robotization, labor shortage, there's a lack of worker availability, so we have to fill the gap with mechanization. And the third is about supply chain guarantees. We as consumers, we want to know where our food comes from. What was the quality? How was it produced? Is it from our own country? Is it Korean produced, or is it maybe from US or from Europe? And so we have our own IDs with that. Let me show a little bit of the gap. We speak about livestock precision farming, the gap between what is potentially, or what could potentially be reached and what is in practice done. And that is at the left graph, you see a comparison, international comparison of pig production, performance indicators. 2 indicators, I will mention only the blue bars now, and that is what we call the MSY. Forget the details. The MSY is the number of pigs produced per sow in the year, per mother animal. And you see in the very left, the Netherlands and Denmark are leading. Very high performance level. Then we see the sixth country is Spain. It's much lower because they have a disease, PRRS. Some specific disease, lots of animals are lost. They are killed. What do we see in Korea? That's a historic development. There's the blue line. It's comparable to the left graph. And there we see an increase the last couple of years in the MSY up to a level of some 21 plus. But 21 plus compared to the 31 plus in the left, yes, there is a gap of some 30% between Korea and the Netherlands and Denmark. And smart farming can support to fill that gap. But, we did a research a couple of years ago about the use of management systems among farmers, pig farmers, here in South Korea. More than 200 farmers filled the survey, and we analyzed the data, and we found that those farms who are using a management information system, that is to record all things that happen on the farm, when sows, animals give birth, when animals are dying, etc. And we found that typically the answers were, we use this management system once a month or once a week. Once a month is definitely insufficient. So what we found is that part of the farmers, the pig farmers in South Korea, are not really focusing on good management. They should be improved to be able to fill the gap. Come back to the overview of the three domains. Now let's focus a little bit on the labor-saving opportunities, and then I'll show you some smart technologies. What I learned is that also foreign workers here on the farms here in South Korea, because who is willing to work on a farm? It smells and it's hard work, and you have to live in the countryside. That's not so easy. So to find those people is a challenge. Now, in the right the graphic here, you see, without explaining it in details, that the labor efficiency in the agriculture sector in Korea is underperforming compared to other industries in Korea. So agricultural sector can really make use of technology, etc., to improve the performance of the labor. And the upper table, I found also a Korean source that there is an increase of foreign workers here. Let's go to some examples. I will show you some examples on animal level, on barn level, on department level, on farm level, and on supply chain level. Different opportunities for technology. So what we see, without explaining them in all the details, there's a lot of technical means, sensors, cameras, microphones, biometric sensors, etc. And I think the next speaker will also elaborate on that. And we can apply it for many ways in the farm, for detection and early warning, for animal management. Well, we find here in the lower picture a sheep shearing robot. Imagine you live in Australia with 150 million sheep that should be, they must shearing every year. Who is doing that task? So it is being robotized to some extent. Here we see facial recognition of cows. AI system, the drinking behavior based early warning system. So there's an AI system looking at the behavior of the piglets and then knowing they might become sick. Or in the upper picture, that's an AI system. It's an award-winning system in the Netherlands where a farmer developed a system to prevent crushing of the piglets, where the sow, the mother animal, is lying down on her piglets. Based on AI, it's preventing it. And this farmer is proudly presenting his device over there. Let's go to the pen and barn level. We find climate control in the left corner. We find air sampler, so that's a device that just samples air to detect pathogens in the air. We find a cleaning robot that's being applied already in practice to some extent. So it's automatically cleaning the farm. And then the beacons for farm staff, that's an interesting development. I like to explain it. So we have those beacons, and they are brought everywhere in the farm. And every time a farm worker, an employee, is walking there, it gives a signal. And based on that, you can analyze the pattern of where the farm workers are, how efficient they have been working, and whether they had the good pathway to use. We go to the company level. I mentioned already the management information systems. Really very much important, very important for farmers to use it. Because you need to know what's going on the farm. To come back to the example of the teacher and the class. If you don't give a grade to the students, you don't know what's going on. And if you don't analyze the outcomes of the grades, you don't learn anything from it. So data, big data, but please analyze it. It's really necessary. That's what we call benchmarking. It can be done within farms, among farms, within Korea. It's not so easy, or internationally as we do. It's also an opportunity for online real-time veterinarian support. The third area is supply chain guarantees. I told already, consumers want to know where does my product come from. I made this picture in China in a supermarket where you can buy a special product marked with a QR code or a barcode, and then you can get the information where does this product come from. Now, this triangle is really important, and it's related to my last slide, an ambition for the Korean livestock. This triangle says everyone can do simple activities, cleaning the farm. But then zootechnical activities mean you need to know what an animal needs and how an animal behaves. Not everyone knows it. You should be educated for that. Moreover, we have the farm management skills. Farm management means you need to control all the processes in the farm. And then, only then, on top comes the smart farming management. And if you don't have the skills for the lower levels, smart farming will not be helpful. I'm almost at the end. This is the integrated management approach as we defined it. Especially here in Asia, I think many people like tangible technology. So that you can see and hold in your hands the technology. But if you don't combine it with the software, data, etc., and if you don't combine it with personal awareness, it is not really, it does not really make sense. It's not really profitable. It must be a combination of what I call hardware, software, mindware. Only then you have integrated management. This is my wrap-up. Smart technology is just the next step in the continuous innovation. And it can support in 3 different domains. I told you, in the domain of livestock precision farming and labor saving and supply chain guarantees, the 3 domains. And they all can make use of it. But not all farmers will embrace smart technology. Not all farmers can embrace it because of what I told you, the triangle. If you don't have the skills of understanding animal behavior and farm management, you cannot make use of it. It's necessary to have an integrated approach of hardware, software, mindware, and finally AI or smart is not a goal in itself. It's a tool. And now finally I come to my ambition with a couple of factors which is basically possible under the condition that farmers are really good understanding the skills, the management skills. The Korean livestock industry in 2050 fully embraced smart technology. Embedded in professional integrated management, the 3 elements, is efficient in labor, inputs, and cost. It's attractive for farmers, is also very important, resulting in a competitive position on the world market. It's sustainable, and the outputs, the products, are being trusted by consumers. And I think this is a nice ambition that we could try to pursue here in Korea, but take care of the preconditions. Thank you for your attention. 감사합니다.
예, 로버트 호스텔 박사님께서